Hello everyone, thank you for watching the video. Now today I'll be going through the Sec 1 year-end holiday homework on algebra revision. Currently I do not have my Apple Pencil with me, so I'll be writing with my finger. So the handwriting might be a little bit messy, but please do bear with me. Okay, I'm going to only go through some of the selected questions and some of the key points that I just want to highlight. So here's starting with question number 3. The question here says that to subtract this whole thing from the sum of this whole expression. Now, for example, in this case, we will think of subtract 3 from 5. What is subtract 3 from 5? To subtract 3 from 5, I'm actually taking 5 minus 3, right? So I'm taking the expression that's at the back, the one that we have highlighted together with the braces over here. Okay, the sum of this whole thing, to minus away, to subtract the sum of this expression over. Therefore, the expression may look something like that. But we need to take note, for the first two portion, we are doing a sum. Okay, so when we are doing a sum for these two expressions, the sign doesn't change, right? But however, I'm going to do a subtraction over here for this portion, so the sign may change. So therefore, we must put brackets for our whole expression over here. And then we'll try to simplify it. The first part in front can be added up and sum up to become 5x squared minus 9x minus 1. But the portion at the back, it will become negative 3x squared. Negative times negative, this one will become positive 4x. Negative times positive, so this one will become negative 1. Okay, and then we further simplify our expression to get 2x squared. Now minus 9x plus 4x is not minus 13x, so it's subtract 9 plus 4, so you get a negative 5x and minus 2. So if you're not sure of your calculation, please make sure you use a calculator. Okay, so that's it for the first question. Let me move on to my second question over here. Okay, the second question that we have found here is simplify this whole expression. It's quite a couple of things that we need to take note. So I'm going to dissect it and cut it into different parts by parts first. The first part that is a little bit complicated is 3p q squared whole thing squared. What does this actually mean? This actually means that when I have a power 2, if you remember your Sec 1 prime factorization or whichever chapter 1, right? When you have power 2 over here, this square actually appears for every single term inside my bracket. So if that's the case, then I'll get a 3 square which is actually 9, p square. What about q? Q square whole thing square is q square times q square, which actually gives you q to the power of 4. Right, so in this case, when you have square a number, a certain power, okay, the power itself will multiply by 2. So the first part of the term in the numerator itself, we will have 3 square, which is 9, p square q to power of 4 after we simplify, right, divided by, now let's analyze the cube root at the bottom. What is cube root of 8? R to power 6. When we take cube root, we divide the power by 3. But 8 is not divided by 3. I have the cube root of 8. Cube root of 8 will be 2. Then R to power of 6. The power, cube root, the power 6 divided by 3, which gives you 2. Okay, so this one will be simplified to 2r squared. And then next portion, this is actually divided by 15p squared q over 1. So when we do division, we change it to multiplication and we need to flip the fraction over. So it becomes 1 over 15p squared q. Okay, then for me, as usual, I'm just traditional. I'll multiply numerator with numerator, denominator with denominator, and then I'll simplify the indices a bit later. So I'll multiply a numerator, I'll get 9p squared q to power 4. 2 times 15 will be 30. R squared is on its own, p squared and q. Now let's look at the individual terms. What are we left with? 9 over 30 That simplifies to 1 over 10. No, 3 over 10. Is it 3 over 10? 9 over 30. 3 over 10. Then there's no r, no other r, so r square stays. P square with p square, on top have p square, there are two of them, top, two of them below. But during our examination, we don't write cancellation just like that. We need to show the teacher the working, so we just need to know that OP disappears, right? Then q to the power 4, this one over here is actually q to the power 1. So on top got 4, bottom got 1. I cancel out 1, I'm left with q to the power of 3. Then therefore, this is my final answer. Have you gotten the answer? If that's the case, let's move on to the next question. Next one, addition and subtraction of algebraic fractions. Now, why did I choose these questions? Just to highlight a few things. Number one, please do not add these two terms together, then you do the subtraction. That is not correct because this negative sign over here is only applicable for 7x minus 6 over 2. Okay, there's no negative sign for this second fraction at the back. Right, so in this case we have to try to work out. Now first thing, change all of them to the same denominator. So and there are so many individual two terms on top, right? So please make sure you put your brackets, and you must take note of the negative sign, right? So we're going to multiply and change everything to a common LCM. So in this case, 4, 2, and 8, the LCM will be 8. So I need to times 2 over here. Then I need 2 times a 4, and the last one, no need to multiply anything. So without further ado, let me begin. Okay, if you are the type, you are careful, and then you want to do it individually, no problem. We will have 2 times 3, 6x, plus 4y individually first, can, no problem, minus, but be careful, this is a subtraction sign, this is 8. This is now 28x, 24, and that's a plus over 8. This one is 2 minus 3y. Now we want to combine everything into one single fraction. The denominator is 8. This is still 6x plus 4y, but now this one will be minus 28x minus negative 24. Negative become plus 24. And this is minus 2 minus 3. This is a plus 2 minus 3y, sorry. Okay, and let's simplify the answer. From here, we will get... This one should be our answer. Now, please don't tell me that you want to cancel out any common factors or whichever, because first thing we have to take note that in our numerator, there is no common factor for our numerator, including because the y is just a 1 on its own, right? So please don't tell me you want to cancel out any common factor for 26 and 8 or 22 and 8. No, you do not cancel any common factor. So this one will be your final answer already. Okay? Okay, alright. Let's move on to the next question. Next question number 14. Simplify the following as a single fraction. So now you notice that there are two different denominators here, and as usual, we have to take note of the common trap. This one is a negative sign, so please remember to put brackets as well, and there are two terms on it. Okay, so we're going to try to make them the same denominator. So 5 and 3, the common factor, common multiple will be 15. So I multiply by 3, multiply by 5. Right, so but however, this one is actually 3 times 2, so it becomes 6. So it'll be 6 times the whole of 3a minus b. So I'll write it as 6 bracket 3a minus b over 15 minus 5 bracket 2a plus 5b over 15. For me, I like to combine everything as one single fraction directly, and I do a couple of terms. So 6 times 3, 18a, then 6 times b, negative 6b. This one, be a bit more careful. Negative 5 times a, that will give me negative 5 times 2a, 10a. Negative 5 times 5b, that will give me negative 5 times 5, 25b. And I simplify it to 18a minus 10a, that gives me 8a. Negative 6b minus 25 minus 6 minus another 25, negative 31b. Have you gotten the answer? So just a word of caution. So for this one, 3 times 2 bracket 3a minus b, you combine these two as one number. Alright, so you do not multiply a couple of times, expand a few times. So just change it to one number. Alright, we'll move on to the next question. Question number 19, factorize the following completely. Now we want to factorize out of terms by grouping. We have to identify factors that are the same. But first, this is 2y minus z. The other one is z minus 2y. So technically speaking, for this portion, right, the sign for them are different. So the 2y for the first bracket, 2y minus z, this 2y here is a positive 2y, but the z has a negative z. But the other one is z minus 2y. Okay, this z over here is positive, this z over here, this 2y over here is negative. So what we can actually do is we're going to change this. We're going to factorize out a negative sign. Of course, you don't want to change the term at the back. You can also change the term, which is a 5x in front, to multiply with a negative sign. So I'm going to change this to a negative sign so that the whole of my bracket here will now change from, after I multiply a negative sign from a positive, it becomes minus z. And this one, negative 2y, become plus 2y. So in this case, it will be 2y minus z. So they will look like they are the same. So this two looks the same, right? So this one stays the same. So 5x 2y minus z. Okay, next thing, I'm going to factorize out my common factor. Factors that are common, we only write them one time. So for these two common factors, these two that are common, I'll only write out one time. So this will be 2y minus z. Okay, and then for the other bracket, I'm supposed to have two terms down here. There are two groups, right? But the first one is easy to identify. So it's 5x. Then I have a minus. But what's down here? Right? What is this term? So how many groups of the whole 2y minus z were there? There is actually an invisible number 1 down here. So this is 5x minus 1 actually. So in this case, this will be the answer. Check that there are no more common factors inside the brackets. So you do check, so no more common factors. So therefore, this will be the final answer. Have you gotten the concept? Let's try one more question. Next question, up next, question number 22. So you notice down here we have to factorize the whole of this completely, and hence when we do factorization by grouping, let's try to identify factors that are common. So first, this is a plus b, this is a plus b. The whole expression in the bracket is actually the same. So in this case, with these two factors that are going to be the same, I'm going to factorize out common factor. Now common factors, we only write them one time. So this one will be a plus b times the whole of, what's my remaining factor? So I cover, if I were to cover away a plus b, I'm left with 9 minus 4n and 5n minus 2n. So in this case, my bracket over here will be 9n minus 4n. Subtract, this one is subtraction sign, right? Subtract the whole of 5m minus 2n. Why is it important to have the brackets? Why? Because this is a negative sign. The sign will change later. So this one, next line, we will still keep our common factor. Common factor only write one time. So simplify whatever that's in our bracket. So here I got 9m minus 4n. This one will become negative 5m. Negative times negative, this will become positive 2n. Let's try to factorize and simplify the brackets again. 9 minus 5, that gives me 4m. Negative 4m plus 2m, that gives me negative 2n. Now, a lot of students will think that this is the final answer. Are you sure this is the final answer? What do we need to do? We need to check, are there any more common factors, right? Check for common factors. Right, you check for common factors, you notice that this is a 4, this is a 2, right? So from here, actually, I can factorize out a common factor. So 4 and 2, what's the common factor? 2 is my common factor. Then I will have 2n minus n. Right, this is a plus b. But however, this is not a good way of presenting or writing our algebraic expression. Let me ask you a very simple question. Will you write 2a or you write a2? Which is the simplest form? So the proper algebra form should be 2a, right? The number should be in front, the number of units should be in front of the whole letter itself. So in this case, I'm going to shift my 2 over here. I'm just going to rewrite this as my proper answer. I'll put the letter 2 in front, then followed by our 2 brackets, algebraic expressions at the back. Okay, then now this will be the proper answer. Have you gotten the answer? Next question that I would like to go through is question number 23. Now, the first part isn't very difficult. So for part A, factorize CD minus CE. So in this case, for part A, you can observe the common factor very easily. CD minus CE, the letter C is a common factor. So common factor, we only write our common factor once. So I factorize out C, I'm left with D minus E. Right? However, the next part of the question here says using the result in A. So that means I must observe a certain pattern in my question for part B and link it to part A. Part A is C times D, C times E. And we notice that C was a common factor. Let's look at part B. Is there anything that looks like C or D or E? A common factor? Well, we observe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is actually our common factor. So if that's the case, writing this, I can actually let C be the number 1, 2, let me write down let C be the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If that's the case, then what can we compare? What will we know about D? Okay, D itself, this is D. And D will be the number 99. E will be the number 989. So in this case, I'm going to let C be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D be equals to 999. And E will now be 989. So after I use my factorization from here, I can see the term is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The common factors, we only write them down one time. Yeah, here. Common factors, we only write it down one time. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bracket. So just like our answer over this portion, D minus E. D will now be the number. D is the number 999. 999. Subtract away the other number 989. And here we get the number 99 minus 989. That will give me 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 10. That gives me the answer without the use of calculator. So this will be our exact value. And the question here says using the result for part A. So if you use other methods like you do manual calculations or whichever, right, you will not be able to get the marks for the question because the question says using the result in part A. Let's look at another similar question. Okay, now we are at question number 24. So for question number 24, part A says factorize this x cubed minus y cubed plus z cubed. As usual, you notice the common factor q and q. So for common factors, we only factorize out the common factor. We only write out the common factor one time. So this one for part A, the answer will be just q bracket. And I'll take out the remaining terms, x minus y plus z. Okay, so hence I need to observe question say part B. Hence, what does hence means? Hence means you need to use the result in the following answer in part A. So now I'm going to need to identify a little bit where are our common factors. Right, where are our common factors? I had 389 times 79, 129 times 79, and this is times 79. So in this case, I can let Q be the number 79. And what will be X? X will be the number. X will be, this way. X will be 389. So X is equals to 389. Y will be equals to 129. And last but not least, Z will be equals to 740. Okay, so if I use that pattern and whichever I need to notice, common factor only factorize out the common factor. We only write it one time. So in this case, this one will become a 79 bracket with all my other terms inside, x minus y plus z. So x will be 389 minus my y will be 129 plus z itself will be 740. So using my answer in part A, and then I shall need to calculate out this whole value. Let me try to use my calculator. Oh, adding up these few terms over here together, all this number gives me 1000. Yes, although the question sometimes will say don't use the calculator or whatever, right? But that doesn't mean that I totally don't use the calculator at all for my calculation, okay? I can use the calculator to aid me in my calculation, but I still show the steps very clearly. So here's using the concept of the question, and I get my answer. Have you gotten the concept? So there are other similar questions inside this worksheet. Okay, so please look through them and follow the method. Next question. Okay, last part on equations. Now you have to take note. Some students here, they will tell me, I want to cross multiply or whichever. You only cross multiply where there is a equal sign in the middle. But this one over here is not an equal sign. This is a subtraction sign. So in this case, I cannot do cross multiplication yet. What can I do? I need to combine these two fractions into one single fraction first. As usual, there are two terms over here. I put a bracket. And the trap, common mistake. This one is a minus sign. Common mistake. This one is the minus sign. So now I'm going to make them a same denominator. So this one, 5 and 3, LCM will be 15. So I'll multiply by 3, multiply by 5. Right? So in this case, I get 15. 3 times 3x minus 2, so 3 times 3 will be 9x, 3 times 2 will be 6, minus away 15, 5 times 2, 10x, 5 times negative 1, 5, equals to x. Now here I have not combined them into one single fraction yet, so I'm going to combine them into one single fraction. 9x minus 6, no problem, but beware, minus 10, negative 10x minus negative 5, so become positive 5 and equals to x. I shall place this x over 1 for cross multiplication later. Let me simplify the numerator for this portion. This will be negative x minus 1 over 15 x over 1. And now with this equal sign in between, then I can do my cross multiplication. Okay, I'm going to do my cross multiplication. So usually my denominator shifts up. So this will be 15x. This one will be negative x minus 1. Now let us shift the terms or whichever to get our x as the subject. So in this case, I'll try to shift my negative x over to the right hand side. Okay, and I will get negative 1 to be equals to, so when I shift over, this one become plus x, so it becomes 16x. So 16x is equals to negative 1, x will be equals to negative 1 over 60. Okay, we can keep our answers as a fraction, need not be a decimal place. Alright, so there are a few things to take note, the sign, and then when you cross multiply, okay, make sure you do them correctly. Okay, let's go on to our last question for this part. Okay, our last question, something a bit similar. Now you notice there is an equation sign over here. We can cross multiply later, but firstly we need to combine our right hand side over here into one common denominator, one single fraction. So this number is 30. What I can do, I can multiply this. Let me write down brackets. I'll multiply this by 6 to change the denominator into 30. So this part stays the same for me, no change. And this one over here, okay, I'll just write it down first. 30, 18y minus 6 times 2 is 12. 12. Okay, minus the 30, this is 4y minus 5. But be careful, later when we combine, this is a negative sign, right? So you combine this, this will be 30. Then that will give you 18y minus 12 minus 4y minus negative 5 become plus 5. This side still stays the same. Please remember to write down one whole, copy down the whole thing. You don't just only work on your right hand side. Okay, and then suddenly the left hand side disappears, right? So every line, the equal left hand side, right hand side must stay there, right? So it's proper presentation. Then let's simplify. And we get 18y minus 4y, 14y minus 12 plus 5, negative 7 over 30. Then this is 2y plus 3 over 4. Okay, and we can cross multiply the whole expression, right? 2 times the whole expression over here. Let me shift out a little bit. So this one will be 30 times 2y plus 3. This will be 4 times 14y minus 7. Then 60y plus 3 times 30, 90. Yeah? Okay, this one 4 times 14, that gives me 56y. 4 times 7, 28. So now we need to shift our terms to bring all the y over to one side. So I'm going to keep 60y over here, and this positive 56 will need to migrate over to this side, become negative 56y. The original citizen over on the right hand side is negative 28. So this is now positive 90. I'm going to shift it over here, and that will end up to be minus 90. That gives me 60 minus 56, 4. For y equals to negative 118. And y will be equals to negative 118 over 4, negative 29.5 as the answer. Have you gotten the answer? Okay, with that, I shall end off for this part of our remedial lessons for this portion. I'll see you next time. Bye!